Parshas Chayei Sarah. These are the lives of Sarah in the book of Genesis. It says that these are the lives of Sarah. Sarah was 100 years and 20 years and 7 years. These are the lives of Sarah. So the question is always asked, why is it repeated? Why is it said in such a strange way? The 100 years and 20 years. Say she's 127 years. No. There's a reason for everything in the Torah. Every letter in the Torah has meaning. There's 4 times. You notice specifically it says, Rebbe Nachman starts off by saying that the word year is mentioned 4 times. That corresponds to the 4 passages in the Tefillin. Orthodox Jews, they put phylacteries on their arms, on the right arm and on the head. They have passages written on parchment in ancient Hebrew calligraphy, written passages. The hero Israel is written, and there's 4 different passages that every passage that mentions Tefillin is put in the phylacteries in Tefillin. So it says 4 times year mentions there's 4 times year, and there's 4 passages in Tefillin. So the understanding of the Kabbalist is anytime you have a connection with number, well, not any time, but most times when there's a connection with number and it makes sense and you can argue it, or if it's based on tradition, but in a tradition from the Kabbalists all the way back to Abraham and beyond, then it holds water with an argument. So we're saying that the 4 times year has to do with the 4 passages in the Tefillin. And the Tefillin, what are Tefillin? Tefillin are the main principle of the life of man. Our life is not just eating and procreating and sleeping and working in order to eat and to procreate and to sleep and then to enjoy ourselves watching television. Our life has something beyond that, has something imbued with more meaning. So that has to do with Tefillin. Tefillin has something to do with a meaning beyond. And that's our life force. As it says, the Medrash says, why does it have, again, we ask the question, why did the Torah go out of its way to say 100 years? Sarah died when she was 100 years, and she was 20 years, and she was 7 years. These are the lives of Sarah. It's because we're talking about, the Rebbe Nachman says it has to do with the completion, the perfection of a person. And the basic meaning of the Midrash is that basically when she was 100 years old, she was 20, as if she was 20 years old with regards to sin. The physical court is not allowed to punish a person until he's 20 years old according to Torah law. And then when she was 20 years old, it was as if she was 7 years old with regards to beauty. Because the paramount beauty of a person, what had to do with a person, a 7-year-old child was the epitome of beauty according to the sages. But the Rebbe Nachman says more. He says it has to do with a person's perfection, meaning that a person can always come back and add more to his service of God. A person never has to say, it's done with me, it's over. No, you can always add more. So the person can always draw from the source of life no matter where a person is. A person can always begin their avoda anew. And this is the aspect of 100 years as if she was 20 years. When she was 100 years old, as if she was 20. And when she was 20, as if she was 7. These are the lives of Sarah. And they're all equated in their goodness. Because every time when a person gets older, when the tzaddik, the righteous person, gets older, you never should say that it's done, it's over, I have no koach, I have no strength. You can say, I can always draw from the source of life. I can always add to my service of God. I can always add a new mitzvah. And even if somebody is doing all the mitzvot, you can always say, I can always do a mitzvah better. A person can, they say when the person puts on tefillin, when a man puts on tefillin every day, God will reward him for his service of putting on tefillin with a long life. So when a person, it's not important to live longer. The point is to live better, to live well. And when a person living well means that I'm always going forward, I'm always adding to my service of God. And that's called living a long life. Living a truly long life is a better life. That every year gets better. That I never say that I'm serving exactly the way I was yesterday. When things become repetitive, they get boring and they get worse. So when a person says, I have to add, you always have to add something new, a new way to serve God. And this is the aspect of the lives of Sarah, because they were all equated in their goodness, meaning they were always adding goodness, new goodness. It was always renewed. And this is the aspect of the long life that has to do with tefillin. That a person puts on tefillin, he merits a long life. Because Sarah, our matriarch, in the Bible is the aspect of malchut, of sovereignty. And sovereignty has to do with faith, in the aspect of shesara al kol olam. It says in the book of Zechariah in the 14th chapter that God rules over the whole world. And the name of our matriarch Sarah has to do with rulership and kingship. Hashem lemelech kol haaretz, that God is king over the whole world. That is the main point of the tefillin. When we put on tefillin, we're saying, I'm not the master, I'm not the boss, I'm not my own man. God is ruling over the whole world. And this is that. What are we doing with tefillin? We're drawing new minds, a new brain. The power of the mind is coming in through the action of the tefillin. So Rebbe Nachman introduces a little paradox. He's saying that when a person has faith in his heart, it goes away sometimes, God forbid, and he loses his faith. It happens to everybody. And then when he loses his faith, he has to remember there's still a residue of that faith. I believed once, I can believe again. I can believe again. Because why? Because how could it be possible that I can believe again? Because a residue remains. But by means of this residue, there's an illumination of the faith with a great light, with completeness, and it's always great. It's always increasing and always greater. So by means of the faith that a person receives, they can always go forward. And one depends on the other. I can do an action that when it's not there, the paradox is that it's only there because it's not there at certain times. And the new brain, the new mind power that I receive by means of this faith, it's always completing myself in the levels of faith, always greater and always greater. Because there's a completeness of faith, the completion of faith above. And that's beyond my ability. And God grants it to me when I just do the action, when I hold on to that residue. And by means of this I can receive the supernal faith, the faith that's above. And this is called, when it says, there's two verses that refer to faith. One is that come and see from the head of faith. In the Song of Songs it says, come and see from the head of Amanah. Amanah has to do with the Munah. Then the head has to do with being beyond. The tefillin are beyond the brain. They're beyond my physical capabilities. I put something on and it draws something beyond my physical capabilities. And then there's another level of the tefillin of the arm, which has to do with that Moses, when he fought the war with Amalek, he said his hands were faithful, meaning that he held his hands up for 24 hours and they didn't fall down. And the head tefillin have to do with come and see from the head of faith, meaning one has to do with my own power, and there's also something beyond my own power. This is the life force of the tefillin, the power of the faith that's completed, and by means of the tefillin, this is the aspect of the lives of Sarah, where she ruled over the whole world, meaning Sarah has to do with faith, with malchus, with sovereignty, ruling that God's faith, and God is really ruling over the whole world, and there's a revelation that God is in control, and that we know that God is the king over the whole world when He is one, and His name shall be one.